What is going on, everyone? This is Travis from AmmoLand TV, and today you are not seeing my pretty smiling face. Instead, you are looking into the eyes of the Holosun AEMS. Now, AEMS stands for Advanced Enclosed Microsight, and it's a new red dot from Holosun that sits in that aim point T1, T2 category, except, as Uma Thurman would say, it's square. Now, we've been reviewing, shooting, and enjoying the Holosun AEMS for about a month now, maybe a little bit longer. And today we intend to give you the scoop, the skinny, the rundown, and tell you what we like and what we dislike about Holosun's latest optic. Now, before we do that, let's start on the outside in, start looking at some of the basic features that make this optic stand out. Now, first and foremost, like a lot of Holosun optics, it features a multi-reticle system that provides you with 3 different reticles that you can choose on demand. The first being your normal 2 MOA dot, the second being a 65 MOA circle, and the final combines that 2 MOA dot with a 65 MOA circle. Now let's move to the top of the optic where we have our solar panel. This provides a backup source of energy should the battery die. It's quite handy, and the optic will automatically switch to solar power when it detects enough light to power the optic. Holosun's shake-awake technology also helps, preserve your battery life. When the optic doesn't detect movement for an advanced period of time, it'll automatically shut off. But as soon as it senses movement, it springs back to life at the last brightness level you left it at. It's pretty handy, especially if you're like me and you kind of always forget to turn your optics off, and it gets really annoying to find them dead. Plus, if you're using this on a bedside gun or a home defense gun, as soon as you grab it, it's on and ready to rock and roll. In terms of brightness settings, you do get 8 daylight settings and 4 night vision settings. It has a manual or auto brightness adjustments, so I prefer manual because I find that the brightness settings don't adjust when using a weapon light, and they typically adjust to ambient light, not light forward of the optic, so keep that in mind. Now, it does use a proprietary mount. I know what you're thinking, proprietary typically sucks. Holosun has promised different mounts to make the optic higher or lower, and hopefully they'll have those out soon, but as of now, we just have the mount the optic comes with. Now, as you see on the top, we do have lens covers, which are actually very nice. They're translucent, light to easily see through them, and they're disposable, so you can remove them and attach new ones at your convenience. Now, with micro in the name, you do expect this optic to be quite small, and it is. It is 2.2 inches long, 1.4 inches wide, and 2.59 inches tall. Now, that does offer you a lower 1/3 co-witness, by the way, so just keep that in mind. Now, that doesn't sound super impressive, but what is impressive is the window size. The window is 1.1 inches wide and 0.87 inches tall. Now, what does that mean? Without context, it doesn't mean much. It's some numbers and some, freedom units. So let's compare it to the EOTech XPS2. It's kind of a famed, smaller, square-lensed optic. Now, that window size for the XPS2 is 1.2 inches wide and 0.8 inches tall. So while it might not be as wide, it is a slight bit taller than the EOTech window. Now, with that in mind, the XPS2 is a chunky girl, at least compared to the AEMS. It's 3.8 inches long, 2.1 inches wide, and 2.9 inches tall, and weighs 9 ounces compared to the AEMS modest 3.9 ounces. So as you can see, this is a very efficient optic that provides a bright window and a nice heads-up display when it comes time to put lead on steel. Speaking of, once you get behind the optic and start looking through, what you're gonna see is a very clear lens. Even with the lens covers in place, I got nothing but a clear view. There's a slight blue tint, but that's to be expected with a red dot. Now, those lens covers are disposable, so as they get scratched, dirty, or broken, I can toss them off and replace them and always keep that nice clear view, which is pretty nice. I don't see a reason to remove the lens covers, and I guess if I used it with a magnifier, I'd want maximum clarity, but at this point, I'm gonna keep them on. Now, the reticles are also very crisp, clear, and bright. The brightness levels are completely sufficient for the brightest day that Florida has to offer. So I can, really appreciate that around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I prefer the dot and circle reticle, and I always have. It allows for mechanical offset compensation. I can aim with that bottom stadia at, ranges of 7 yards or so, and know where I'm gonna hit is gonna be precise. That same reticle can be used as a rangefinder, with the average height of a man filling from the top to the bottom of the circle at 100 yards, and the average height of a man filling from the dot to the bottom of the circle at 200 yards. Zeroing took no time at all. The recessed turrets offer very tactile adjustments that allow you to know when every click is. I zeroed it at 25 yards on a PCC, and then 50 yards on an AR-15, and later at 10 yards with a shotgun. So it's been zeroed quite a few times and never have the turrets given me any issues. That's almost that can be a very, very easy thing to break, especially on a lower price optic. So it's nice to see you can re-zero this thing over and over without any issue. Speaking of, as you've heard, I've fired it on several different platforms. and it's never given me any issues. It's held 0 through different recoil impulses and makes it really easy to run and gun. Overall, I find the AEMS to be an outstanding optic, especially at the $400 or so price point. Now it's brand new, so the price is still high, but if you know anything about Holosun, they release a little high and they slowly eke on down to be cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, which isn't bad. If you have patience, it's worth the wait. Now it's a very clear optic, it's compact and very lightweight. It gives you a very wide field of view that's very clear. And if you like optics, you can appreciate it. There's not a lot to hate on. I really like little things, like I like the buttons, I like the solar panel, I like the multiple reticle system, and I do find it to be very handy and easy to use. What I would hate on is the proprietary mount. You know, in the past, Holosun's used the aim point mounts, and to me that's perfect, but obviously with a square-shaped optic, you can't exactly do that. So hopefully they do keep to their word and they release those new mounts, but if they don't, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed. I have a number of PCCs and subguns that don't work well with AR height mounts, so I really want to mount this thing lower, and if it does, I'll probably pick up at least one more to throw on my Scorpion. But until then, it's only an AR height optic, so it's sticking on AR height guns. So what do you think about the AEMS? Is this an optic for you? Does it do anything that scratches an itch you might have? Let us know below. I want to hear from you guys and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.